All right, welcome to the Federal Way City Council meeting for January 18th, 2022. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. Great to have everybody here. All right, and joining us remotely is Councilmember Tran. Councilmember Tran, can you hear us?
I'm not sure we have them on yet. Here, we don't have either of the council members on the meeting yet.
Okay. We've got Councilmember Tran who's going to be joining us, and also we have Councilmember Asefa Dawson who's going to be joining us. Is it just a few moments away, or what? Well, why don't we do this? Let me fill time here. Our last city council meeting went very, very long. So when we get to 10 o'clock, normally our council rule says that our meetings end at 10. And normally, as you know, that we entertain motions and we pass motions to exceed beyond there. Tonight, what I'll do is I'll be asking for a motion to go past 10 p.m. but not to exceed 11. I do think that we need to be able to get our business done no later than 3.5 hours. Actually, it would be 4.5 hours. So I think that we really owe it to our staff and our community not to be conducting business that late. I think we were done at 1 o'clock in the morning at our last meeting. So 1:30. Yeah, by the time we left the building, it's about 1:30. That's just not. We're not doing that anymore. If I can do anything about it. All right, with that being said, I know they're still working on that. Why don't we just go ahead and get started on, Ryan, any word? All right, let's, all right.
How do we know when they join?
Right, I think we'll be told.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for being so quiet. Appreciate it.
Okay, I think that's it.
Okay,
But I'm not IT, you know?
exactly. Okay, the first thing we're going to be doing, and once we get the
Recording in progress.
we're going to be talking about the mayor's emerging issues and report. Thomas Fitchner, our IT director. Yay!
Not the best day today. That's 2 in a row, Mayor. I apologize. And
Oh,
council.
it's okay. Yeah. He's quite simply a magician, keeping us in all the transitions we've done since the pandemic started with. Oh, there he is. There's Councilmember Tran.
Share screen.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi
Hello,
there.
everybody.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Show the video.
Okay, and Councilmember Asefa Dawson?
She just joined. I do not see Councilmember Asefa Dawson on
So it could,
the line yet.
it could be internet issues.
Could be internet issues, right? Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're on to emerging issues and report from the mayor. Progress update regarding King County RCP program. Steve McNay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm here to report tonight back on very little, actually. We have not sat down with King County yet. I did receive a text message from the Chief of Staff to the executive today, trying to set up a time for Friday. We've had some exchanges back and forth. There have been some scheduling issues on their end and on ours, frankly. So right now, we have 3 times on Friday. I'm waiting to hear back. But in the meantime, not much has happened on RCP. What was supposed to be hopefully a coordinated effort between municipalities and the executive's office to look at some of these felonies is more of a briefing. So when we do sit down with the executive's office, not the prosecutor's office, the executive's office, when we sit down with the executive, we will get a briefing on RCP. I think it's important to note that there has been a lot of talk in the community and regionally about this being a diversion program. Diversion is an important part of the criminal justice system. This is not a diversion program. There's no judicial oversight to this program. There are organizations receiving $3 million in funding, which the council has. So what we would like to do is sit down with the executive, talk about these serious felony crimes, and see if we can have some sort of judicial oversight added to this. The mayor, the mayors, and now Councilmember Reagan Dunn, who has introduced a motion today, King County Councilmember Reagan Dunn, asking on the county to suspend the program temporarily to look at the felony crimes, serious felony crimes, bringing a gun to school, organized retail theft, vehicle theft, residential burglary, commercial burglary. These are not juvenile crimes. These are adult crimes. These are serious crimes. And so we're asking for an opportunity to sit down, have these crimes removed, support RCP with judicial oversight, support RCP with misdemeanors. There's a lot of misinformation, and that's where we're at right now. Mayor?
All right.
Thank you.
Councilmember Adobe?
Yeah, I just have a couple questions. Last meeting, we had lots and lots of testimony about this. So I went to a lot of the web pages that these people, everybody had on their shirts with the names. And it appears that there's many hundreds of thousands of dollars each one of these groups are getting from King County for this program. And do you have any idea how much of that money comes out of federal way to support the programs?
No, we don't have any idea how much comes out of Federal Way. This is actually coming from King County. And some of the numbers, Councilmember, 380, 333,000 for an organization, 326,000, 391,000, 216, 250, 273, 245, 350, and 360,000 to individual organizations. I'm not going to call organizations out by name. That would not be appropriate. However, those are the numbers we're talking coming from King County. There is no judicial oversight to this. The way diversion typically works is there is a judge as part of the process. You're put into a diversion program, and you report back on the progress of that program. Without judicial oversight, we don't believe there can be accountability. We'd ask that the executive and the King County prosecutor take a moment to look at the program, have some logic to it, and maybe these organizations are doing a phenomenal job, and I hope they are. I know the mayor hopes they are. I'm sure all the council members hope they are. But even our Superior Court judges aren't exactly sure what's happening. So I think there needs to be a judicial oversight. That's what the mayor's called for. That's what Councilmember Dunn has called for, and then we can move forward from there.
So just one last question. So when this meeting eventually comes up, because as a council, we're going to vote, what we think, I'm assuming soon. I would be really curious, when you look at those budget numbers of $300,000+ per organization, many people were here because they feel strongly about the program. But how many people are here because they were afraid their funding was going to get cut off? And so, I'd like just to know a little bit more how that funding gets sent to the different organizations.
Sure,
and what
we
they
can
do.
we can look that up once, and that's something we can ask once we do receive the briefing from the executive staff. Then we can ask how that actually goes forward. That will be one of the questions we ask. I do think it's important to note that in a typical process where diversion is the track, that it's not uncommon for prosecutors to come back to a detective and say, hey, we're looking at going a diversion route on this. Are you all right with that? So there's communication. There was no communication from this program. There was none at all. And I had a productive conversation with Shannon Braddock, the Chief of Staff to King County Executive Dow Constantine. Shannon is an absolute professional. And we had a candid conversation. It was a kind and friendly conversation, but it was candid. And one of the things that was said was, well, that we should have known. I'm sorry. This wasn't voted on by the county council. This was a budget proviso by the executive voted on as the budget process went through. This never went to the county council. So those 9 members of the county council didn't see the list of felonies that were part of it. That's why Councilmember Dunn has proposed a motion to slow it down and remove some of the felonies from it. And then we can have this. Diversion is an important part of the criminal justice system. I don't think anybody would debate that.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Honda.
Thank you. So when you say Councilmember Dunn wants to slow it down, what do you mean by that? What does he mean by that?
He's calling for the pause that our resolution called for 2 weeks
Okay.
ago that will come back before the council in 2 more weeks. He's asking the executive's office to pause the RCP program to review the serious list of felony crimes,
Okay.
gun crimes and the other crimes. And then his aim would be to, from a legislative point, keep RCP intact, add a judicial component, but remove some of the felony crimes because we think those are pretty serious.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Council President Coachman.
In addition, I think we're going to have a presentation from our own municipal court judge, Dave Larson, at the February 1st agenda, talking about the diversion program that we have with
Right.
the city of Fedway and discussing this.
Yes, ma'am. The diversion, again, diversion is an important part of the criminal justice system. The city of Federal Way unanimously supports diversion. I have not heard one person in elected office in the city of Federal Way say they do not support diversion programs. The RCP is something different.
Yeah, you couldn't, I was a prosecutor for 19 years. You couldn't have a criminal justice system without diversions. I mean, you need to make sure you give people the opportunity to get back on track, to learn from mistakes. You need to make sure you've got that in place. But the learning is to be held accountable and to make sure that it's not just, what's happening now is that they're just not getting filed. These cases are getting referred to private organizations, and there's no check-in, there's no case number, there's nothing. It's just a non-file. And that's why the executive's office is involved, because it's the King County Prosecutor's Office isn't involved. And that's actually how we found out almost by accident. So this is really a very concerning development. These are felonies that are occurring in our community against people in this community. So we have an obligation to figure out what's going on. So anyway, thank you, Steve.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, let's now go on to,
Mayor?
Mayor, I think Councilmember Walsh.
oh, sorry, Councilmember Walsh.
Yes, sir.
Hey, just a quick question. Just out of curiosity, those different organizations that are receiving the 300,000 plus, are any of them based in Federal Way?
I don't believe so. I have to double check, but not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah. But if
We'll check on that.
but if I'm wrong, I will come back and correct that. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, more to follow. We'll have, next meeting, we'll have a report. Okay, upcoming event, we've got the Retail Safety Summit on January 20th. We've moved that to via Zoom. Chief, you want to talk about the Retail Safety Summit, just very briefly from where you're at?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it'll be this Thursday. The meeting will start at 9:30 a.m., and we have quite a few people and businesses that have signed up. So it will be by Zoom. And if anybody is interested in listening in, and if you're a business owner, you can certainly participate. Please contact the police department, and we'll send you the information to join the meeting, which will be this coming Thursday. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. And that is really to address what many of us have heard about organized retail theft in our community, and making sure that we are working with local and regional and national retailers to make sure that there's good lines of communication, but also an understanding about what we all know to be corporate decisions on a certain level being made about how much theft they're going to be tolerating in their stores. Actually, a resident here sent us an article. I've called every mayor and city manager in King County in the past month to talk about these issues, the violent crime and also organized retail theft. And the mayor of Issaquah and I had a conversation about what's happened at their Target. And where literally, as a result of corporate decisions, people have been going to the Target there, filling up carts and walking out of the store with carts full of merchandise and not being stopped based on corporate policy. So now, actually, with the article that I just received, and I've talked to Mayor Pauley about what's happening, or what has been happening, because they've had a number of these shopping carts end up at their transit center, because you should see this if you Google it, you can see the long line of shopping carts from Target that are dropped at the transit center. And then what happens is people are reselling these products at the transit center or elsewhere. They're reselling it on eBay. There's been other crime resulting as a result. So now, actually, the city of Issaquah has actually adopted, I believe it was an ordinance, to prohibit that kind of what essentially nuisance activity. A nuisance has been created at that location that's caused a danger in their community. Now, I don't think we've got anything, at that stage here in Federal Way, but this retail safety summit actually was spurred by a public comment that someone made about somebody who works in the Ulta here in Federal Way, and they'd had a similar experience. So myself and Steve and Bill went down to the Ulta, and we were told that there are times in which they come in and on just really an organized manner, grab thousands of dollars worth of merchandise and walk out the door. And they had somewhat of a similar policy. So we want to make sure that, and we've heard plenty of comment out in the community, that we do not have a community in which that's tolerated, or we're not going to look the other way. We're engaging, and what we're attempting to do is create a sea change in which this kind of behavior is certainly not allowed, and we're going to meet it right where we find it and prosecute individuals involved. Okay, let's see. Hope you can join us for that. Okay, we had the Martin Luther King Jr. events. I'd like to thank our high school group. We actually, if you go to Channel 21, you can see the MLK videos on Channel 21 and on YouTube. It was a great event. I'd like to thank Jerry Lynn Clark and all her help to make sure that we got that out there. We also, the 30th District Democratic Organization put on an MLK Jr. event at the mall yesterday. Shelley Anderson and many other, Representative Johnson was there. The deputy mayor and the council president were there as well. And great musical performances, and it was a great day and a great event. We've got the city council retreat, and I know that our leadership and our council members are going to talk about that, but just a footnote, February 26th, a Saturday, at Dumas Bay at 8:30 a.m. With that, why don't we turn it over for council committee reports? Parks, Human Services, and Public Safety Committee.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So my last meeting as chair of the Parks was held, and most of the items from that are on the consent agenda, including Arts Commission work plan, Arts Commission contract for services, the jail services contract with Puyallup City Jail, Washington State Department of Commerce grant, public safety testing subscriber agreement, and Diversity Commission work plan. So the new chair of the Parks Committee will be announced a little bit later in this meeting. And so the next meeting of the Parks will be February the 8th, 5 p.m. on Zoom. Thank you.
All right. Land Use and Transportation, Councilmember Dovey.
Well, I haven't been appointed yet, so.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Deputy Mayor Honda.
Thank you. So I attended the Public Issues Committee meeting last week, and the first hour and 15 minutes or so was an introduction to SCA and the PIC. It's on video, so anyone can watch it. It's kind of interesting if you haven't seen that before. And there was a good discussion of what happens when you are appointed to serve as a representative of SCA to a regional board or committee, because you're not representing your city, you're not representing yourself, you're representing the Sound Cities Association. And so for some people, that's kind of hard to get used to, because you might not agree with the position, but if that's what Sound Cities wants you to vote on, you either have to vote on it or let the alternate vote for you. So anyway, you can watch that meeting on their site if you're interested. And anyone is welcome to go to PIC. It's the second Wednesdays from 7 to 9, and it's on Zoom, and we'll be on Zoom for a while. So it is really interesting to see what all the cities in King County are doing. And I'm going to move right into the Deputy Mayor report.
Okay.
And we'd like to invite Jerry Lynn Clark to come up. So for those who might not know, Jerry Lynn is leaving the city on Friday. She is she's taken a job in another city, well, another location, and she's leaving us on Friday, so we wanted to give her some flowers and acknowledge, you want to come with me? Acknowledge,
Does everybody take a picture? Bill Bedino, or anybody with a camera to take a picture? It's okay. We'll get it later.
so,
Here comes Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Oh, yeah, he's making me look really tall.
I always look really short anyway.
Smile. Thank you.
So 8 years ago, I was on the interview team that chose Jerry Lynn to be our executive assistant to council, and it was the best choice that we have made as a council, in my opinion. Her main job was to, well, serve the council, but her main job really was to make the council look good, because she went out of her way every single day, 24 hours a day, to be available to us and to help us. And she will be missed. She'll be missed not just by council, but by the city of Federal Way. She's worked here for 21 years, and she does so much for us. She will be missed, and I can't say thank you enough. So.
I can't tell you how many times in the evening when we're getting ready for a Zoom meeting, especially in the beginning, and we council members aren't that techie oriented, we would call her on her personal cell phone and say, oh my gosh, what do we do now? And then she would send a link so we could get on. So she kept our meetings running, and we will be sitting on, Susan Hunt and I will be sitting on an interview panel for a person to replace her, but it's going to be very difficult to find somebody to do all the things that she's done. So thank you from the bottom of our heart. And do you want to say anything?
I just want to say thank you to the council and the mayor and everybody here. It is really hard. Damn, I'm going to cry. I'm not leaving because I don't love this city. I'm leaving because it's a 10-minute commute. Making this decision was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made because I truly love this city and I love my council. You could probably see me around in the community because, I can't leave you guys. But just thank you for everything. Thank you for the last 21 years and for the last 8 with the mayor and the council. So thank you.
Thank you, Jerry Lynn. I can tell you, Jerry Lynn has been just an indispensable member of our staff, and while she normally worked for council, you did so much work for our office and for everybody in this city. So on behalf of a grateful community, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Of course. Okay, and then council president report.
I'm so new, I don't have one. You're really lucky. No report tonight.
Okay, great, thank you. Now, the most important part of the meeting, public comment. Let's stick to 3 minutes if we can, and then we've got the pink sheets, and then we'll have some folks that will talk on the phone, and then we will go to letters. With that, and if you could, what I'll do is I'll call a couple people in advance, and if you could queue up near where that area is, so we can go relatively quickly. Okay, so the first 3 speakers, Sarah Nelson, Ken Blevins, Allison Fine, and then Betty Taylor.
Mayor,
Yes,
do you want me to read the rules?
I'm sorry?
Did you want me to read the rules?
Go ahead, and while Sarah's making her way over there, go ahead and read them.
Public comment rules. In accordance with state law, the City of Federal Way prohibits any testimony regarding any campaign for, election, or promotion of, or opposition to any ballot proposition during public comment. City Council rules of procedure prohibit any personal, impertinent, threatening, or slanderous remarks during public comment. The mayor may interrupt comments that continue too long or violate the rules of conduct. No speaker may convey or donate their time for speaking to another speaker. The mayor has the authority to preserve order at all meetings of the council and to cause the removal of any person from the meeting for being disorderly. All individual comments are limited to 3 minutes each. Based on the volume of requests at the meeting, the chair has the discretion to reduce the comment period to 2 minutes each.
All right, Sarah?
Hi, my name is Sarah Nelson. I have been a resident of Federal Way for 11 years, and my husband and I are raising our 2 teenage daughters here. I wanted to say that I wasn't able to be here last week, but I did last meeting, but I did watch. And I want to say that everyone's goal is a safe place for everyone in Federal Way. And we may come from different angles, but that is a mutual goal that I want to make sure we all keep in mind. A side note, diversion can be a fantastic resource. And I think that's something else that we can all agree on, that it's just a matter of the accountability. My main concern is tonight you will have a second reading and vote on the licensed permanent supportive housing. And we are all for resources for people, but we are also for accountability. I am accountable to a lot of people in my life, and that's okay, because that's part of being part of a society. And we want to take care of the least of these within our society, but part of that is expecting accountability from them. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ken Blevins. Is Ken in the room? He stepped out. Okay, let me know when he comes back in. I'll just set it aside. Thanks. Okay, Allison Fine. And then Betty.
Hi. Thank you, Mayor, all the titled people, council members, and the people on Zoom. First of all, as a diversity commissioner, you failed to mention it was the Diversity Commission that put on the MLK event. I'm very lucky to be on that commission and so very lucky to have Jerry Lynn's support. I hope that everybody watched it. It was a good, solid hour of programming. And then we snuck in a little thank you slide to Jerry Lynn at the end she didn't know about. So that was really awesome. If you didn't see it, I do hope that you go back and watch it. As a private citizen, because now I have to do that, I have to put on a hat and then take that off and then put a different hat on. I did watch 2 weeks ago, the YouTube video, like so many of us, and I just want to say I think that thoughts around the RCP program and how it was rolled out are completely fair. I do also think that I am very concerned about the fact that we're talking about funding when $3 million is a really small amount of funding compared to some of the other programs that the county has. And I think that the fact that we continue to insinuate that organizations want the program to exist because they're like lining their pockets with this $250,000 is ridiculous, because if you've ever ran a nonprofit, that doesn't go very far. I also wonder, based on the information we heard tonight, where was Councilmember Reagan Dunn's questions when he approved this? I'm also mostly disturbed at how I saw community members treating each other at this meeting. I saw every single black leader that came up to this dais speak to you and speak to the mayor, to the council president, to the deputy mayor. I watched community members decide that they were going to speak to the audience the entire time, as if this is their personal soapbox, and that is not what this is. It's disturbing to me that I heard people say things like, "Where were you people? Where are you people? Do we know you people?" That's very inappropriate. It's very inappropriate, and it's very disrespectful to the organizations that are either working with kids from Federal Way or trying to get into Federal Way and get funding to work with our kids locally. I'm also really, really, really concerned that there was a city council member that had a private meeting that discussed community issues, yet they asked for, I believe, a discount on a room as a city council person to hold that meeting, and their group of supporters was allowed into the meeting when the rest of the community was not. And I just think that we need to think about, as leaders in our community, how we can be all inclusive and how we can make sure that everyone's voice is heard and not just the people that we choose when we want to. I also wish that people understood that you need masks with face shields, but, that's another thing. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Allison. I do want to make sure it's clear that a council member did pay for the room themselves at the community center. So,
Oh, no, I understood that.
Yeah.
But asking for a discount is still ethically inappropriate.
okay, thank you, Allison. Betty Taylor, and then Betty, as you make your way up, we've got Bob Derrigan, Jeffrey Tancredi, and then Ron Walker. Betty?
My mind's doing a little multitasking in my brain. All right. So, like I moved into the Traditions Apartments in Better Way, and it is like a 55-year-old senior community. Okay, and so we had a meeting at my apartment complex, and some of the residents were really concerned about, so we have like underground parking, okay? And so as we come out of the parking garage, we come out or coming in, we bump into ongoing cars which are coming out of Town Square Park. We're either coming out of the restaurant area up in there, and there's a center lane, and then we end up clashing with these cars, and so I told one of the residents what I would do is bring that issue up at the city council meeting, because we were concerned about traffic and safety. And so, since this is a new facility, and we didn't realize we was going to have this problem, but it's almost like when we're coming into the facility, there's cars that we clash into, and then we get the finger, or we get hollered at. People get angry. And so some of the residents are wondering if there's any way that the city could put within the center lane, could put like an arrow, so that there will be peace. Because right now there's no peace. We just clash. Car to car, bumper to bumper. And it can basically cause an accident if something is not done. So I'm asking if the city would do something about this problem, because it's a problem. And so I don't know what is it? The streets, the whoever does if there could be something, or what can be done to help resolve this problem. And I hope somebody can get back to me and let me know, so that I can get back to them to let them know, because they're waiting on me, okay? And I told them I'm gonna help you out. So I come to where I can get help.
All right, thank you, Betty. I will have Rick Perez or EJ, our Public Works Director, get back to you on that. Thank you. Okay, Bob Derrigan.
I wish Jerry Lynn didn't leave the room here.
Do you want to go get her again, please? Yeah, but this is special.
I apologize to the council, too. I should have let you know I was going to be writing something to honor her. And, here she is.
Just so everybody at home and in the audience knows, Bob is our resident poet laureate. So,
Well, thank you.
yeah. The floor is yours, sir.
I want you to know that a couple of council members helped me to write this with the words they sent to me. And people that she has worked with really close. She's the go-to person in our city. And, she'll be greatly missed. And I call her ambassador. I'm going to drop this. There is something about Jerry Lynn that is hard to inscribe on paper. She is truly a priceless jewel who was created by our Maker. She is simply a joy to have around. Her presence fills any room with loving grace. Her sincere smile warms every heart and brings peace to any face. To say she is efficient and dedicated is a good place to start, for she is this and more, for she has captured our heart. Her smile immediately embraces a warm welcome to those whom she speaks. How can I help you? Ambassador to anyone who comes and who seeks. We are told she is leaving our city government and travel a short distance away to create new possibilities and continue to do good to those in their day. Oh, how we will miss this gal and all that she is as a person of charm. But we pray for the very best and protection from all harm. All who know her join hands and agree she is a person of quality care who pours herself in everything she does because she's a gift of her care.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, Jeffrey Tancredi, then Ron Walker.
Good evening. Thanks for letting me speak. Just wanted to request the school board, Mr. Mayor and council, if it's possible for the school board meetings to be held in the council chambers. I think it's important that these be on TV. There's important requests that we'll be making. I told the school board that I'll always identify the problem, but I'll always come up with a solution. Recently, I recommended that JROTC be expanded at all 4 Federal Way high schools. There's a discipline problem. There's a lot of problems in the Federal Way public schools, particularly at the high school level. I've talked to many parents. Students fight on campus. Teachers are intimidated by students. Students cannot go to the bathroom because they're afraid, so they hold it. Okay, students can't go in there because other students are using drugs and they lock the bathrooms. So I'm just trying to figure out, the best way to help the Federal Way public schools. I recommended all 4 high schools get Army JROTC, in addition to the two high schools that have Air Force JROTC. We're not trying to get the military in here. It has nothing to do with it. It's giving people direction. It's giving people the opportunity to have goals. It's some structure. A lot of kids come from difficult households. Not here to judge that. It's just a fact. And then they bring the challenges into school. Okay, you can't have fighting at school. You can't have that. These are educational institutions. You can't have teachers being disrespected. That's appalling. Decatur High School ranks worse, according to OSPI. Decatur ranks worse than 91% of the high schools in Washington State. Federal Way High School ranks worse than 86%. It's not me saying this. Federal Way ranks worse than 86% of the high schools in Washington State. Todd Beamer, worse than 87%. TJ ranks worse than 71%. So we're just trying to make things better for Federal Way, and that's the best way I know how to do it, and I think it's best that we put these things in a more public forum so that people can see what's going on in our city, and so we're just trying to do anything I can. And I'll be making more recommendations to the school board to help the schools. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Council President Goshaw.
Jeffrey, would you come back to the podium? Jeffrey? Okay, I totally agree with you that we should be having our school board meetings on TV in a specified location every month so people know where to go and can discuss issues with the schools. We cannot move the city forward without improving our schools. And so I know that our schools are proud of some of the things that they're doing, but we also have issues with our school. And if we cannot get them, we're open to discussing having them here. If they cannot come here because they just won't, then I think we should start talking about having people coming to this council meeting
Yeah.
to talk about issues in the schools,
Right.
to get it in public so that other parents can know where to go if they have an issue, to make it public so that they can get this together to solve our problems.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Councilman.
Okay, Ron Walker. Hey, good. Thank you very much.
Click. Well, Honorable Mayor, City Council, my name is Ron Walker. I'm here to talk to you today about a project that's been on my heart for a while. Last year, the Kentucky Derby brought in about $200 million in economic impact for its region. The same goes for the Indianapolis 500, about $330 million in economic impact. The Puyallup Fair just down the street brought in about $140 million in economic impact. What do all these places have in common? They have some sort of venue that drives their economic impact, whether it's a racetrack or horse track or fairground. So what do we have in Federal Way? We have an opportunity, and I'm talking about an economic engine that we already have up and running. One piston of that economic engine is our Performing Arts Center. But I would like to propose an additional piston in that economic engine, and that would be taking the TC property, which is, for those of you who don't know, the TC3 property is the property where Target sits right now, right next to the PAC, and transforming that into a an event plaza, sort of an open-air stadium that doesn't have seating. So it's an open-air stadium with lights and all that. The event plaza now would be a place to hold different events, outdoor events, that gives us an opportunity to have economic income coming in, and also an opportunity for us to have a place to build community. And then also on that same property, the capstone would be what I call the Plaza Hotel. Now, I know that may not go over well, but the Plaza Hotel, if you notice on the front, actually has a tower, and that tower is a 360-degree view of the Puget Sound. Some of you may or may not know, but Federal Way sits on a plateau, and that piece of property is the highest piece of property in Federal Way, downtown core. And so from that vantage point up there, you get up about 250, 300 feet, and the view is absolutely spectacular. You can see in the last part of the report, I took the drone up, and there are lots of pictures up there of what it looks like. So here's an opportunity to put together an economic engine that will allow us to have a little bit more impact, and it'll be the capstone for our downtown development. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Well, Ron, thank you very much. This is really a great presentation, and we just actually, at the 5 o'clock meeting today, had a presentation about a potential request for proposals on that property. The council felt very strongly, and nearly, I think it was unanimously, that instead of taking any kind of action to move forward on RFP, they wanted to bring it back to a city council, full city council meeting with the public there, to where we can get a lot of public input. So, Ron, what we'll do is I'll ask the city clerk to make sure that when we set that public hearing to discuss the Town Center 3, we'll make sure you're included on that, and you can talk about this again.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Okay, Ken, I see you're back in the room. Ken Blevins. And then after Ken, it's Mary Ellis. Hold on, you guys, I made glasses. After Ken, it's Mary Ellis, Anna Patrick, Dominique Davis, Craig Patrick, Cynthia Ricks McAtan, and Nancy Justice. Ken?
So, thanks for waiting for me. Just wanted to come up here and speak a little bit about this year and the goals of the city and potentially having a safer city as we go. I think based on the last meeting, it was a little disturbing having a whole bunch of people in the room just pointing fingers and feeling attacked, and when I think the council was trying to do the prudent thing and, well, let's slow down, let's see what's actually going on here. Not very many people in the room, citizens of Federal Way, really knew what all those programs were, the RCP programs. That we didn't know that what those organizations were actually doing, and then what they're doing in our city. What I heard is that the city is paying money to some organizations. What I'd like to find out is, are we going to pay these organizations if they're actually working in Federal Way? It would be nice to have people, because we're a big city, we've got a lot of youth, for them to work with these kids in the schools, try to catch them before they actually commit crimes. And I personally, I'm just not for anybody committing crimes. You know, second chances is okay, but you know, you got to have consequences, and you can't look at the person and say, hey, you did something to somebody else. That's how you commit a crime, right? You can't take their rights away for being safe and feeling safe and so on. And in Federal Way, it's very important with all the other homeless drug addiction problems and all the other things that King County's been tossing down here. There's another one. It's one after the other. We've got to start standing up for our city and saying no. And we have a council that can do something about it. Not that the old council was bad, okay? The good people, right? But we can start focusing on this seriously and actually getting some action going. And I'm hoping that we'll just start standing up one by one. And other cities will start looking at this city and go, wow, this city's done something about it. This craziness about doing something that's hurting a lot of people and helping some, maybe helping them, is not working out for people, okay, overall. So, and again, I want our community to heal, to get better, to come together regardless of what you look like. I want that for our city, and I hope that we can do that with our leadership and just, you know, fight for us. So thanks very much.
Thanks, Ken. Okay, Mary Ellis.
Hi, nice to see you all. I haven't in quite a while been here. But I just am here to ask if we have a representative yet for the heritage landmarking. I know that you were putting out a call because we were working with Jason Ludwig, who unfortunately had to move. And when you do get that, I would really like to know, because I did give you a letter that I had put out during the holidays that was letting people that have supported Camp Kilworth, which is the old Boy Scout camp. And we'll give you a full report on that after March when we'll have all the details. But anyway, right now, we got a grant, and actually we got a For Culture Preservation Special Projects grant to hire someone to do the landmark application. And also, we got for the Zavinsky grant, which is from the Washington Trust, and we got those funds together to do this application to make a landmark preservation application for Camp Kilworth. Now, yeah, we're hoping. So we're going to need this. It'll be the first step because we're going to have to go after grants to restore that 1934, or, well, it's 1935. It was dedicated in 36, Rotary Lodge. So I am just here asking you, as soon as you have somebody in place, we were working with Jason, and we'd like to know who to continue working with. And as soon as we get that application, we did, with the funds, we hired Northwest Vernacular. And when we get that application finished, of course, we want to bring it to you, and hopefully it'll be the first landmark site in Federal Way. So we'd love to do that. So I just wanted to ask that because I know he had to leave and I didn't know where you were in that process, but please include us because we're working on our end with funds that we've acquired, and we can't say enough for Fort Culture to help us out with that.
All right, thank you, Mary.
Oh, it's Vinsky grant too. Thank you.
Mary,
Okay.
we don't have anyone yet, and I think you would make an awesome representative on that committee. So please think about it. And thank you so much for all you've done to save Camp Kilworth from the bottom of my heart. And the youth and the families in Federal Way in this region will be able to continue to use Camp Kilworth for another 100 years.
That's our
And
goal.
the best thing ever. I am so grateful to you guys for all you've done. And just thank you so very much.
Well, we are hoping too that long after we're gone, this last 30 acres of second growth forest will continue to serve youth. So, and like I said, we'll give you more of the details on that with the grant application and all. But I'd just like to know, keep that communication open so we know who we're supposed to be working with.
Yeah.
And we'll get that application finished up and to you.
I agree, and I agree, Mary, you'd be perfect. And for those of you who don't know, Camp Kilworth is a beautiful parcel of property way down to the west along the water that was donated to the Cub Scouts back in 1939, I believe, by 34 Mr. Kilworth, that was intended for the Cub Scouts use, and now it's gone into disrepair, and Mary Ailes and her group are trying to restore the property back to its intended use, and we're very fortunate to have you working on that. It's a jewel in our community.
Yeah,
And if you've never been there, just go down along the water as far as you can go, and you're going to find it.
Yeah, we formed a nonprofit. It's the Kilworth Environmental Education Preserve, and our hope is that it'll continue to serve youth. And so I thank you in your support in the past, and we'll be back with you. We're hoping that it's going to become a reality soon.
And maybe someday you'll put on a parade again for us, Mary.
And I will think about it. I just worry it'd be a conflict of interest because right now, I'm in there swinging with it. So,
Thank you.
But the committee has worked really hard, and the KEEP committee, and we think we're seeing that. But the first step is to get that application together.
All right, thank you, Mary. Okay, Anna Patrick, then Dominic Davis.
Evening, Mayor and Council and public. So I'm just going to comment to the RCB program and King County overall, and I just think we need to do a financial audit of King County. Somebody needs to do a financial audit. Over about a 10-year period, the daily bookings into the youth jail dropped by about 70 or 90%. I inquired about the funding and where that went. The money savings that they say this saves money, where did it go? So Jesse looked into it, and the King County Council had no answer for that. They don't know where the money went. It just kind of got absorbed. So the city of Federal Way has the largest number of youth that are referred to the courts historically, and none of that money has come to our school that I know of. Those youth often have been absorbed into our school. And our school does an amazing job. I've seen so many caring, supportive staff. However, we can't meet the needs. It's beyond what we can do in some cases. I've seen it work well. I've seen it not work well. Depends on the school and what program you have and what the needs are of the students. We are not always able to meet those needs. This particular year, things have gotten very difficult in our schools with fights and those kinds of things. I hear about it frequently. I think we really need to take a good hard look. I don't know people keep coming to Federal Way for money. I kind of think it's misguided. I don't think we have a lot, do we? So we should be asking King County where that money went. All that money they're saving, we should be asking. And we need accountability with the current program. When it doesn't work, what do we do? How many times, how many chances do we give them? And so I'd like to know more. We need to be collecting data on this. Really dig deep with the data, not just surface level, hey, it's working because we're keeping them out of jail. We need to dig deep. Is it really working? Are we really making a difference? And how can we show that? And we need to realize that in Federal Way, we seem to be getting the housing, like Devco, for example, that brings zero property tax to our city. We get 1.3 students per unit that come to our schools with zero funding for support, or police, for that matter, for any needs, to serve any of the needs in our community. So we need to push back and figure out how we can make this work better for our city. We're getting the short end of the stick. And it's to no fault of our youth at all. And we've got to do better. We've got to get King County to fund and serve our youth while preserving the safety and learning environment for all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We've got Dominic Davis. And Dominic, before you get started, I want to let everybody know that Councilmember Sefa Dawson has joined us. She's been on the line about 25 minutes. So just FYI, the record should reflect that. Dominic.
Thank you. I feel like I've been spending a lot of time talking about RCP for the last few weeks. I want to just say that as I hear different comments, and we were in a really good meeting on Saturday, the meeting got heated, it got uncomfortable, it was frustrating, but that's what we have to do, have conversations and tell our truths. And if we don't sit down and have conversations and tell our truths, we'll never get to a common medium. We'll never come to a middle space where we could all agree to either disagree or move forward to agree, right? And so these conversations need to continue. I know the PAO, Prosecuting Attorney's Office, and the Exec's Office, some people got an email flying around. We're setting up a date to meet with you guys and your chief. So we're setting that up to have that conversation with the community organizations that helped organize and put RCP in place. I'm saying RCP is a touch point. It's an intersection, right? It's where we could stop young people from going further into the criminal justice system. It's plain and simple as that. I understand it makes people nervous when we start thinking of things outside the box and things that make you feel uncomfortable and you don't think that it's the right answer. But when we're out here doing this work and we are in the mix every day, we just had 8 shootings over the weekend. 8 shootings over the weekend. We're on the back end of that and on the front end of that, right? Trying to figure out how to stop that kind of stuff from happening, and at the same time doing triage with the families that are suffering, right? I mean, we're at the hospitals, we're at the houses, we're providing therapeutic services and all that. So it's not just like we're an organization or we're organizations just running around, letting people run around scot-free, committing all the crimes they want. And that's the image that keeps being put out here. We're in the schools doing work that we can do in some of the schools. We don't have the capacity or the funds or the resources to provide services in every single school that needs the help. But yes, we're up front, we're upstream. We're dealing with the stuff upstream to the best of our ability. We're in the middle, in the courts, doing diversion work, and we're at the end doing reentry work with people coming back out into society. And 80% of the people that go into prison and go to jail that everybody keeps talking about, punish, be punitive, are going to come out back into the community again. And they're going to come back out with no tools, no skills, and no help, and no aid, and no wraparound services. And they come right back into the community, and what is going to happen? Where are they going to go back to? So let us have a place where we can have a touch point, where we can grab these young people when they were going down the wrong track, and we can reverse them and turn them back around and put them on the right track. This is what we do. This is what we do every day. I could fill this room up with success stories. Easy. We can set that up. I make a couple of phone calls. I have 100 people in here. You know, and we'll tell their stories. I want you guys to understand the touch point piece is very crucial because that's the most vulnerable time young people are when they see they made a mistake. And now they're getting ready to pay for this mistake. But now all of a sudden you get a wraparound service around you and say, come on, son, come on, young lady, let's take you down a different path. And you have a support team showing you how to get down that path, giving you a blueprint to it and supporting you for it. I can't figure out for the life of me why nobody thinks that's a great thing to do. A lot of people don't think it's a great thing to do. People keep saying, yeah, it's cool to do this, it's cool to do that. Yeah, we support organizations, but really, do they? It's just we're indoctrinated with this mindset of the more police we put out here, the more people we lock up, the safer we are. And that has not happened ever in our history of this country. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dominic. Craig Patrick, and then Cynthia Ricks-McIntyre. And then after Cynthia, we've got Nancy Justice, and then Josias Jean-Pierre.
Okay. Okay, good evening, council. Let me see if I can get this right. Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Honda, Council President Kochmeyer, council members, and Federal Way citizens and community. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this time to speak. My name is Craig Patrick. I want to thank Councilmember Erica Norton for providing a meeting on Saturday where we could all meet with people we might not agree with or understand. And I appreciate Deputy Mayor Honda for being there, Councilmember Tran for being there. No one disagrees with the RCP program as far as how it serves a purpose as an intersection to get people together. What we have a problem with is accountability. The police spoke about the lack of accountability. You know, the reason you lock people up in prison is so they don't harm other people. The other reason you lock people up in prison is so society doesn't harm that person that's out on the street. People that have been victimized by this, it's an ongoing trauma. They get victimized. And then if you have a restorative process where the victim doesn't want to be there or they're forced to be around that person, it's going to create anxiety, depression. It's going to ruin this person for the rest of their lives. All I'm hearing about is how we're going to save the criminals and how we're not going to put them in jail anymore. I don't hear anyone talking about the victim, okay? The justice, we just said the Pledge of Allegiance, justice for all. Where is the victim's justice? You need the carrot and the stick. You need two things I've learned in life. You choose the behavior, you choose the consequence, and you don't reward poor choices. You just don't. That's common sense. That's what I learned in kindergarten. You know, and for some reason, people think they can go out, behave a certain way, and nothing's going to happen to them. Let me tell you what happens when you bring a gun to school where I'm from. You bring a gun to school, they call the kid to the office, they call the police department, get a warrant for the house, the school calls the parents, tell them to come in and pick up the kid because there's a gun. While the parents are at the school, the police are raiding the house, taking the guns, getting evidence, and finding out what's going on. This is the kind of system we need. This is allowing people to continually, I'm all for 1 and 2 and 3 time choices, believe me. I benefited from that. I was a messed up kid, and my brother was messed up. I fared better than he did. He has his struggles, right? But I learned early on, you keep messing up, you're going to keep going here until you get tired of going to prison. Are you tired of jail yet? Are you tired of going to detention? Are you tired of checking in? Then it becomes a pain in the ass for the person who's committing the crime. Don't make it a pain for the people that are being victimized. Don't keep re-victimizing them by making them be around the perpetrator. And if two people can work it out, if you can get a restorative justice thing where the victim and the perpetrator can make amends, great, that's great. But it should be up to the victim. As far as the money goes, 2/3 of that money should go for victim services. 2/3 of it. 1/3 of it should go to the organizations that are promoting this, because then we'll find out who's really in there. We'll really find out who's willing to put in the skin if you give them 1/3 the money and you give 2/3 to the victim. Then we'll see who's got their skin in the game.
Cynthia Ricks-McAtan.
Good evening. My heart is heavy tonight because last night we lost a long-term resident of Federal Way. She had a stroke and passed away, and she's been my dearest friend since 3rd grade. So I'm just really sad. So I'm going to try to keep it together here. Tonight I wanted to talk about the diversion program, RCP. Thank you for holding the meeting on Saturday. I thought it was a great opportunity to have an exchange and a dialogue. But let me give you some facts about RCP. First of all, RCP is a type aversion program that requires 3 very important things. Number 1, the organizations have to apply to be a part of the RCP. They must have a structure in place to be able to deal with the legal charges that the youth are facing. They must be able to provide services to address the why, any of those social determinants of health, like mental health, like housing, if there's DV in the home, if there's exposure to trauma, like maybe other people in the family have been incarcerated and so there's trauma that the youth face because of that. If there was dangers at school, for example, and that's the reason why they brought a gun to school, maybe they were afraid, all right? So they have to be able to provide those services. They must have qualified staff, and more importantly, they must have in place some form of restitution. What does that mean? They must be able, funding is provided so that if there is a dollar amount for restitution, most youth do not have that money. I think it's something like 90% or more of the youth and their family who are involved in the criminal justice system here in the county, don't quote me on that, but I believe it's about 90%, cannot pay restitution. The money that comes to these organizations also help those families, the youth involved, pay restitution. In addition to that, they must face their accused if there was a harmed party. And they have to be able to have a dialogue and hear what their actions have done to the other person. That is required. There are certain program requirements that the youth have to follow. And if they do not follow that, regular updates are given to the prosecuting attorney's office and to, I believe, probation, if they're on probation. If they don't follow it, the court makes a decision. You either stay in or you don't. That is a requirement. So again, organizations have to be qualified. They must have the resources. They must include restitution. The youth must participate and have substantial participation in the program in order to continue. Incidentally, one other quick fact, youth from Federal Way who have been involved in the justice system were supported in being a part of the discussion and the development and implementation of the RCP. So we did have representation in its development. Thank you.
Well, not one city official, not the police department, not one mayor in all of South King County was notified that this was being developed, that not one city official that represents any of the elected officials that represent 2/3 of a million people in South King County were notified that this was being set up, that this was being implemented, and we only found out when we sat down with the executive and the prosecutor that it had already been put in place. And to our understanding, this is there is no judicial officer involved whatsoever. So these are turned over to the private groups with no judicial accountability whatsoever. So we all are behind and supportive of making sure we get people back on track and make sure we help young people that have made a mistake, but not to the point where you're not going to file burglary charges, robbery charges, armed, where guns are brought to school. That's craziness. So that without a judge involved. So if you don't have a judge, there are no case numbers. So the fact of the matter is it just is unacceptable. And I, as the mayor of the city, as the police chief of this city, as the mayor and the police chief of Auburn, Renton, Kent, none of them were informed that this was going on. That is an outrageous. So the community, the members of the community may have been briefed, but city leadership, these are felony cases that have occurred in our city, and we were not informed that this was happening. That's unacceptable on any level. Nancy Justice.
Good evening, everyone. I have a comment about the Retail Safety Summit. I don't know if the public is going to be allowed to participate or speak on that, so I want to share an experience that I had at TJ Maxx before Christmas. I went into the store, I shopped, I was leaving to take my stuff to the car, and I brought my cart back so that it, wouldn't end up somewhere else. And as I was walking up, I saw two guys standing on the sidewalk, and they had a shopping cart, and there was stuff in it, and it looked like they were reading a list of some type. I went in, I put my card in, and then I see one of them come in. And I watched because he was up to no good. It was obvious. And then his friend came in, and he got a cart, an empty cart, and the first guy went out, and the other guy's looking around. Well, when they first came in, I said to the security guy at the front, I said, hey, this guy, and I explained my feelings, and he said, yeah, I know. And then I saw the manager, they were on their walkies kind of watching him around the store. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to sit and wait and see what happens, because when he comes out with his cart full of stuff, I'm going to grab it out. I'm going to kick a garbage can in front of him. I'm going to let him know that he can't do that, because the stores know that they can't touch him, and they know that. Well, the guy made a pass through the store and probably saw me sitting on the bench and the security guy there, and he went on around. So I thought, okay, he thinks it isn't safe now. So I sat and waited longer. I waited for a long time, and then I thought, what the hell is that guy doing? And so I went back to the manager, and I said, hey, you know that guy you were following? Do you know where he is now? And he said, oh, I just heard the emergency exit open about 20 minutes ago, and he left. So what they're doing to prevent thefts is not working. They know the guy at the front's not going to stop them, and they know they can go out the back door and they can't lock the emergency exit. So, I hope that's brought up too, because I wonder how many times that happens. I'd never thought about that possibility. And in addition to that, I want to say the RCP meeting on Saturday, in my opinion, was very good. We all got together and talked, and I think it's a good start, and I hope we do more.
All right, thank you, Nancy. Chief, how can people find the link to the Zoom meeting for the Retail Safety Summit?
I think we'll need to, Michelle Roy, our crime prevention coordinator, she's the one who's scheduling that. So anyone who wants to participate needs to reach out to me or Michelle Roy, and we'll send a virtual link so they can participate, listen into the meeting.
All right. Let's do this. What's that? Yeah, we'll try to get it on Channel 21. Let's put it out on Facebook, if you could, on your Facebook and on city Facebook, to make sure that the invitation is there.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay,
I think the
thank you.
information's been put out to contact Michelle Roy, but we can certainly put that out again, because I think we've done quite a bit of that already.
Good. Okay, let's get it out on your Facebook page, our Facebook page. Steve, you're probably listening. Let's get it out on Twitter. And Thomas, let's see if we can get this out on Channel 21. I'm sure you're already planning on that. I'm planning on Thomas listing these. Okay, Josias Jean-Pierre. And then Shelley Anderson.
Hello, my name is Josiah Jean-Pierre. I got a question for you guys. When you think of black and brown, what goes through you guys' mind? When you see me as an individual, what goes through you guys' mind? What is the first thing you see?
Yeah, we're not going to do the dialogue. Go,
I
you've got
understand.
3 minutes.
But you gave dialogue, so I understand. The reason I'm asking is because over a decade, leaders came to the federal way, asking for the same resource, needing help. We have heard over a decade how city council members say, hey, we need help with our city, let's talk to community leaders, and et cetera. We came as leaders to the city saying, help us, we need you guys. We're in this together. But better yet, however, where your money is at doesn't show you guys care about the black and brown communities in the city. As an educator, former educator here in Federal Way, in Lakota Middle School, who brought kids here, talk about their hurts, their wounds, their pains over a decade. And we're talking about, hey, our city's going crazy. Our city's been going crazy for a long time. Our school's been going crazy for a long time. But we have leaders and community leaders who are saying, hey, who is the best person to reach out to the city who looks like them? The community leaders. We know how to get to them. We know how to reach them. We know how to get to the core of the problem. So many times we say to go to jail, put a Band-Aid on it, but we never get to the root of the issue. We know how to get to the root. And over a decade, we've been asking, hey, City of Federal Way, can you work with us? Your policies, your boundaries, the money, everything like that, is our kids even listed in you guys' policies, in you guys' document, what you guys talking about? I don't think so. We're talking about centered opportunity. Opportunity for who? Opportunity for who? We have the tools to stop the tracks of what's going on. And all we're saying is, City Federal Way, we need you to work with us. I'm in the schools, middle schools, high schools, elementary schools. I get calls all the time saying, hey, can you talk to our kids? We need this. Can you talk to our kids? We need this. Our kids are hurting. Teachers are calling me saying, hey, Josiah, can you come to our kids, talk to our kids, because this is what we need. And I said, listen, I could bring it to the city for another decade, but we're not being heard. We're being silent. We're being turned away. And all I'm asking for the City of Federal Way is, while gentrification is happening like crazy, the communities, it's more kids coming into the city like crazy. When will we get to the heart of these kids? before the joke gets them? When will you listen to the heart of the community who's doing the work, the front lines, who's in the front lines in the back of the line saying, hey, we need you? When can you hear us for a minute? Because as of right now, I don't think opportunity for Federal Way is about us black and brown kids. As a matter of fact, 21 seconds left. As a former loss prevention officer, here in Federal Way, undercover and armed officer in Federal Way, I have seen white folks who actually go into the stores, steal, and Federal Way police doesn't do crap about it when we call them. But the black kids get locked up broke just like that. Let that sink. Thank you.
Thank you, Josias. Shelley Anderson.
Good evening. My name is Attorney Shelley Anderson. I've been in practice for 17 years now. I'm a civil rights leader, and I'm a mother that lives right here in Federal Way. A couple of weeks ago, Mayor Farrell, I invited you to join the right side of justice. And after speaking with my neighbors this Saturday, I invite you all to join on the right side of justice. We spoke last week about the RCP, and I'm asking again for this council to oppose the resolution to pause this much-needed program. We spoke last time I was here about how the RCP is a community-based solution, that this isn't the first time that we came to our leaders saying that we need help, we need something different. Tough on crime, it's not working. We need something different. It's too much money. We can't afford the costs of just detention alone because it's not capturing our children. We need something different. King County in the fiscal year of 2021 budgeted $208 million on detention here in King County alone. And we said even back then, we need something different than just detention. This isn't the first time. Though we went to King County, where it passed unanimously, this program, you as leaders, we've been going through this discussion of how do we save our kids? And so I want to make certain that, although you didn't get the phone call or the manner in which, let's not nix a much-needed program. Let's actually address what's happening. After talking with our neighbors on Saturday, one of the main things that they had concerns about was the judicial review. And in that conversation, we discussed, again, I'm criminal defense attorney right now. We discussed that it's not one of those, you're in the program, you're on your own, farewell, good riddance. No, in order to make it into the program, to qualify for it, one, a first-time offender, meaning you cannot have any other contacts with the law. Second one, you have to be a child, right? So this isn't someone who's just going to keep doing the same thing and goes unchecked. We're capturing them while they're young. Last 30 seconds, this is a non-violence offense. So Mayor Farrell, for instance, she said carrying a gun to school, which is RCW 9.41.480, subsection 2, categorizes that as a gross misdemeanor, which wouldn't even qualify as an RCP participant. So when we're talking about this program, we need to look closer at what the allegations are, the charges, and see that it's against property, not people. Pass this program, because community has been asking for it, and we need you guys' support. Thank you.
Well, I would note that as was said previously, the King County Council did not approve the list of crimes that were on there, did not approve the list of the residential burglary, the commercial burglary, the car theft, the felony harassment, the unlawful possession of a firearm in the second degree, unlawful display of a weapon, which is threatening with the gun, and all of those things. None of the council was not briefed on that. So, we're not, I think that there's fine work being done and important work being done, but this was done without our notice, without our collaboration. These are cases that occur to victims in Federal Way. And frankly, I've never, as a 16-year veteran of that office, where I was a senior deputy prosecutor, where I used to have to call detectives to let them know that we were reducing a case, These are cases that are just completely without a case number and referred to this referral program without any input from the cities and the police departments that work on these cases. It is an outlandish and outrageous abrogation of prosecutorial power in which the prosecutor has essentially handed this over to the executive. So we're not going to apologize for standing up for ourselves and the people in this community. I'm not going to apologize for it. This is an outrageous act by King County government that they are doing this against our will, against our knowledge, against our input or buy-in. That's the fact. So let's move on to remote comments. First, we've got Alexander Stein. I'll go ahead and list them. Alexander Stein, Zoe Wall, Denise Harrington, Estella Ortega, Roger Flyger, and Leandra Kraft.
We don't have Alexander, but we do have Zoe.
Okay?
Hello, am I next?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Hi, my name is Zoe, and I'm a senior in Federal Way. Recently, in my class for global politics, my teacher encouraged us to look into issues in our own communities. I first wanted to talk about the politicalization of COVID, and I was pushed to go into a different direction. This direction was the vaccine distribution disparity. As all the council members must know by now, the vaccine distribution and getting vaccinated in general is something that could help alleviate the numbers within the hospitals. However, there's a huge disparity between white people getting the vaccine and people of color, even though we're one of the most diverse places in the country. As of January 10th, a new study looked at the data from vaccinations. These statistics were followed out by the sample. 56% were white, 10% were black, 20% were Hispanic, 7% were Asian, 1% were Native American or Alaskan Native, and less than 1% were Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander. I'm sure we all want to put COVID behind us, but that isn't going to happen until we get the majority of us vaccinated, herd immunity. I know that King County Health is currently working on vaccine distribution and testing centers. However, it's not being effective. How can we market the vaccine to those racial groups that aren't effectively getting it, and what's being done about it? By now, the vaccine has been out to the public for almost a year now, and still numbers are incredibly low. I know a lot of those are political numbers and people who don't believe in vaccines. However, a large sum of those people could not just have access to those vaccines. I think it's quite scary when I read the statistics showing that only 64% of high schoolers, or ages 12 to 17-year-olds, have gotten the vaccine. As a high schooler myself, in one of the most diverse schools in the nation, I'm scared and I want to know what's being done to help increase the vaccine numbers. Thank you so much for your time, council members. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Denise Harrington. Denise? Thomas?
We have her on, but she's muted.
Denise, you need to, is she on computer or is she on Zoom?
She's on Zoom.
Ms. Harrington, you need to unblock. Unmute.
Still muted.
Okay, 10 more seconds. Hello, Denise? Okay. One more time. Denise? All right, we'll move on. Estella Ortega.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Hi, Estella.
Hi. Hi, Mayor. Well, first of all, good evening to you, Mayor Farrell, and all the council members. For the record, my name is Estela Ortega. I'm the executive director of El Centro de la Raza, which translates as the Center for People of All Races. This is our 50th year of providing services to the Latino community, including serving families from Federal Way at our Seattle offices. In January of 2020, El Centro began providing services out of our Federal Way office to help those households in need. We have education programs at Truman Open Doors, Sunnycrest, Totem, Federal Way, and Thomas Jefferson High School, and we have brought in our own funds from other sources to provide those needed programs at those different schools. My connection to Federal Way also includes my grandchildren having attended Sunnycrest and Totem Middle School. I'm here today to request that the Federal Way City Council vote no on the proposed resolution to pause the implementation of the Restorative Pathways Program. Our organization is in support of the 9 organizations that make up the Restorative Community Pathways. The organizations are rooted in their respective communities and have a long history of providing services to youth throughout King County. Those organizations are working at creating a safety net for young people who need guidance to help them with a second chance at discovering a better way at life. We have seen and know the devastating impacts of tough on crime and war on drug policies have had on communities of color. The answer is not to lock up our youth. This will set them on a path that makes it difficult to secure employment and housing and leading to recidivism. Diversion programs are created to address disproportionality. Restorative community pathways must continue. If not, more Black and brown youth will be incarcerated at higher rates. I also want to say that I was at the meeting on Saturday, and the thing that really struck me is that people don't know about what is this restorative community pathways program. And I feel like we need to learn, and I'm happy to hear earlier in the testimony that there's going to be conversations with you all and the Community Pathways Program. And so we just urge that those conversations happen. And I guess another thing too that struck me was that it's the prosecutors who are making the recommendation to the Community Pathway Program. And to me that was extremely important, because it sounds like that there's this sense that things are sort of out of control, if you will, and who's going to the program or not, but it's those prosecutors that are doing that. And, you know, Jim, I obviously know that you have that background, and I understand that the frustration that exists with you all in not knowing about the program, and I'm pleased to hear that there's going to be conversation. So thank you for your time and, you know, all your work in trying to build a better federal way, which El Centro de la Raza is extremely supportive of. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Roger Flyger.
He's not on the line.
Okay. Leandra Kraft.
Hi, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So I first want to just say thank you, Mayor, City Council members, and city staff. Thank you for the conversation on Saturday. I want to take some time to correct a few statements that were made earlier on in this meeting. First, there are different levels of diversionary program within the criminal legal system. Some people would even call true diversion programs the programs where no law enforcement are involved at all. So meaning no police officers, no prosecutors, and no courts. Some diversionary programs are pre-filing without judicial oversight, others are post-filing with judicial oversight, and others are therapeutic court systems like mental health court or drug diversion court. One of the main positives of these diversionary programs are the cost savings associated with not having to pay an in-court prosecutor, the court staff, and defense counsel. Also, pre-filing diversionary programs save many individuals from encountering the criminal justice system. Finally, due to COVID, there are limited numbers of bookings at this time. Second, there are organizations that are from Federal Way that are part of the RCP program, including El Centro de la Raza, who spoke previously, and many of you know that their center exists here, as well as community passageways who do work in South King County cities. I personally support the RCP program, but I do also think that it's okay and we should ask questions. One positive that Ms. Cynthia mentioned is that there is restitution that will be paid. That is unlike the regular criminal justice system where offenders would not likely to be able to pay those who are harmed because they just don't have the resources. I support our community asking for more details and questioning the process. One question I would encourage leadership to ask the prosecutors involved in the program is, if the offender does not get diversion through RCP, what would happen in the regular course of business? For many first-time juvenile offenders, there is not much in-custody time attached anyway. So being connected to an organization really may be the better option here than just being released. I encourage community members to continue asking questions, having discussions, and really ask why the prosecutors involved in the program settled on these crimes. The last thing I wanted to ask outside of the RCP program is, where is council in developing our climate action plan? I know it may not be high on the list and the most pressing concern at this time, but I do believe it plays a role in how the city should develop in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Leandra. My understanding is that Bob Drake is on the line trying to get through. Okay, so Bob Drake.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's time for Executive Office and Prosecutor to come forward and stop hiding from the cities who want to know more about RCP. It's been 2 weeks. They were in touch during the last meeting with the mayor, yet still haven't come down here and sat down with all these cities to give us information we seek. Hey, King County, we need you to weigh in with our city. You dumped this program here without any info or notice to any of us, especially our city. I'm in no means attacking this program. We heard from some who it benefits on Saturday, kids. We need to have diversion for kids who qualify and deserve and want it. We should support helping our kids. I don't agree with the felony or gun crimes with no judicial process and oversight. That is just insanity, in my opinion. No guns in schools, period. We have to stand up for kids. We can't excuse guns in our schools. We have to have consequences for guns, period. I'm sorry, it's just common sense to say no to guns, especially in our schools. Felony harassment as well. King County, we need you to show up. You've had 2 weeks. Our city must stand up to some of the policies that are being dumped on us, and I see that that's happening. Drug houses and hotels, needle programs, helping kill the addicted. During our meeting on Saturday, many things came up. It was a rough meeting, honestly. We have to have more tough and uncomfortable conversations, and I appreciate each person who showed up and wanted to dialogue. It was amazing. One thing that came up was accountability. We're going to have to figure that out together. We have much work to do, and I'm still seeking more information and knowledge about this program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Any other online comments?
I believe there's one more hand raised. Thomas might be able to speak to it.
What's that? What's that?
Heather Froy is on the line.
And then we should probably circle back to Denise Harrington. Is she still on the phone? Or still on Zoom?
I don't have that information. That IT would have it.
Yes, Mayor, she is.
Okay. Let's try Denise first. Can we, Denise Harrington?
We have Heather unmuted right now.
Heather? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, yes, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay, perfect. Sorry I didn't go through the process of, signing on earlier to do a public comment. But I just want to jump on here and say, welcome to the new council members. I look forward to meeting you guys in person soon. Like Sarah Nelson said earlier, a safe place for everybody, and that's exactly what we need. And I also want to second what Jeffrey Tancredi said. Trying to request the school board meetings to be held in the chambers because we need this televised. We need this to be in a public forum. Me and several other family members and community members had requested that they do answer our questions instead of doing a copy and paste type email. They don't comment to public comment. And what I love about the city council meetings is that you do comment. And I feel like we need to hold them accountable and they need to answer our questions too. And Linda Kochmeyer, I'm really glad that you want to move forward with improving our schools too. It's awesome to have people on the board that are actually for this and are not just going to sweep everyone's concerns under the rug. Violence is huge in the schools. I created Stand Up Federal Way Parents because I was sick and tired of the masks at first. I still am against masks. They don't do anything. You can still catch and spread anything that you come in contact with, but I won't go into that. But at first, it's about the masks, and the more people that I met throughout the community and the more stories that I've heard are just incredible and mind-blowing. That the violence and the crime and the threats and everything from students to teachers, teachers to teachers, teachers to students. It's incredible. Sorry, I'm outside with my dogs. So yeah, we need to hold it accountable. Safety measures need to be more implemented. Something's got to get done. So I just wanted to, again, hope you guys consider having this in the chamber. So we'll be on YouTube, so more families can join in. So yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Denise Harrington? Denise Harrington?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to chime in on this program and just say we just need to keep working at this, because we've got to figure out where in the younger ages, we got to help the children so that when they get older and realize right from wrong, we need to be there to help them. So we've got to start at the beginning and get them the right education, make sure they're fed, have a home, have a safe home to help to stem the crime later. So I just hope we keep working and looking into this program.
All right, thank you, Denise. And I think we're going to,
One more hand raised, Josh Kim.
okay, Josh Kim.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hi there. Sorry for signing in kind of late. I totally forgot there was a meeting today. Quick question for Mayor Farrell, because since I'm not too sure if it's still going on. Is the council bill number 818 for motels still on the table, or has it already been passed?
818. Is that
It's to have licensing for motels and hotels in the city of Federal Way.
I think we took care of that last meeting.
It's on second reading, Mayor.
I'm sorry?
I believe it's on second reading.
1 second.
Oh, okay.
819.
Well, I'm the property manager for Ridgecrest Motel. I try to keep the motel clean, drug-free, and just seeing this bill trying to be passed. I understand it's for the safety of the community, but it's like you guys already know which motels are the problem motels. I walk by Pacific Highway every now and then, and it's always almost guaranteed someone's doing drug within 100 feet of East Wind. So it's like, why can you guys not focus it? But if you guys are going to try to penalize it, $500 is too little. I would say make it 5,000 or even more. But yeah, to me, that whole ordinance seems more like a blanket solution rather than a focused solution. And me having only 11 rooms, I understand it's a year, but it still takes an impact on my profit margin. As far as the RCP, what I wanted to make a comment was going to jail is actually mentally very stressful and actually impacts you, carries throughout your life with that. So if there's some way to help avoid it, that'd be awesome. But in addition, for violence, they need to be taught discipline is the main thing. I know some people 2 weeks ago in the meeting said, oh, we should bring in ROTC. You know, I completely agree with that. That helps teach you discipline, being involved in sports or martial arts. Because if they ever touch a firearm, that is a huge responsibility. It's an American right. It's awesome, but you need to have discipline in order to handle that firearm. And I don't know if the city can do it, but they should be, if anybody wants to buy a firearm, they should be taught the 4 or 5 basic firearm safety. That's something that I've been taught when I'm in middle school, growing up in Texas. I'm not too sure what it's like here, but that's always been carried with me to my older age. So that's all I got. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, letters.
All right, Mayor, I have 7 letters to read into the record. First one starts from Mary Rico. It reads, Dear Mayor and Federal Way City Council, I'm requesting the City Council vote no on the proposed resolution requesting that King County Prosecutor pause the implementation of the Restorative Community Pathways Program, RCP. In an effort to develop a coordinated community response to public safety and public health problems impacting communities across King County, we, the community of Federal Way, have come together and invested upwards of 3 years to stand up evidence-based programs to address the disproportionate arrest of incarceration of youth of color in the juvenile justice system in King County. for offenses, while white counterparts oftentimes have the wherewithal to divert through paid legal representation and out-of-pocket treatment programs. We, the community of Federal Way, understand better than ever what the passage of resolution item 6A and the legislative agendas like item 6D will mean for the health and safety of our community, because we have seen the devastating impacts tough on crime and war on drug policies have had over the past 40 years. We will not stand idly by as this council reverts back to failed policies that saddle our youth with lifelong collateral consequences, which lead to more crime, joblessness, behavioral health problems, and homelessness. Council, vote no on Resolution 6A and do not pursue your proposed legislative agenda 6D, which will also exacerbate crime, joblessness, behavioral health problems, and homelessness. I work directly with youth in an after-school program, and I know it will impact our youth directly and our whole community. Please vote no. Thank you, Mary Rico, After-School Program Coordinator. Second letter, it reads, Honorable Mayor Jim Farrell and Federal Way City Council. My name is Jasmine Caladron, and I'm an assistant with the Jose Marti Child Development Center and after-school program at El Centro de la Raza. I'm writing this letter because it came to our attention that the City of Federal Way is attempting to cut back programs and services that support our students of color. El Centro de la Raza works directly with the communities of color and youth in Federal Way. It is crucial that we can provide our youth with second chance. Youth and communities of color are already disproportionately incarcerated and represented in the legal system. Our youth do not need jails. Instead, they need and deserve programs that give them opportunity to be rehabilitated, becoming contributing members of our community. Individuals of color already face barriers throughout their life. Juvenile incarceration only adds to the hurdles that they will have to overcome with permanent records. Incarceration exacerbates the prevalence of mental health issues, including PTSD, by up to 50% among youth. Imagine the disadvantage we're placing upon youth when we consider that their prefrontal cortex and rational brain is not fully developed until at least age 25. We need to look further into the concept of people of color experience generational trauma and reframe how we can break this cycle rather than continue to contribute to broken homes by incarcerating our youth of color. I'm requesting that the council vote no on the proposed resolution requesting the King County prosecutor pause the implementation of the Restorative Community Pathways Program, RCP, in an effort to develop a coordinated community response to public safety and public health problems impacting communities across King County. We, the community of Federal Way, have come together and invested upwards of 3 years to stand up evidence-based programs. Sincerely, Jasmine Caladron, Administrative Assistant. Next letter from Pauline Landis. Hello, I'd like to comment on the pause that will take place to discuss the eligible misdemeanor felonies within the Restorative Community Pathways Program, RCP. Restorative justice practices such as RCP are essential in the prevention of incarcerating Black and brown youth for first-time minor offenses. RCP should not be paused, especially during the pandemic, which has placed many at-risk youth in a position when they most need the RCP program. Additionally, RCP should not be reduced only to serve misdemeanor crimes and should continue to automatically include felony crimes. Individuals that commit felony crimes should be granted an intensive opportunity for rehabilitation through RCP instead of coarse punishment through the prison system. Thank you, Paulina Laris. Next letter from Liz Olison reads, Dear Mayor and Federal Way City Council, I'm requesting that the City Council vote no on the proposed resolution requesting King County Prosecutor pause the implementation of the Restorative Community Pathways Program, RCP. I encourage the Council and Mayor's Office to meet with members of the community who worked over the past 3 years to develop restorative justice programs like RCP in order to address the disproportionate number of youth of color in the juvenile justice system. Diversion programs are not a failure to take a criminal matter seriously. They are a balance more successful at addressing underlying causes of criminality and reducing recidivism. Indeed, in a study of diversion programs, and they give a link here, programs that focus on medium to high-risk youth were found to be more effective than those targeting low-risk offenders. The City of Federal Way is the 6th largest city in the county, but among the top jurisdictions referring youth to the juvenile system, disproportionately youth of color. The Restorative Community Pathways Program was created to address the very inequity we demonstrate in our city. It is not high-handed action by King County from a distance, but a direct solution to a problem we in Federal Way have directly contributed to. We should give RCP a chance to work instead of reacting defensively and fearfully to change. After all, one definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And to be frank, endlessly increasing the police budget does not seem to be creating a corresponding decrease in crime. In conclusion, please do not pass this resolution. Thank you, Dr. Liz Olison, Federal Way resident. Next letter from Tiffany LaFontaine reads, Dear Mayor and Federal Way City Council, I am requesting that the City Council vote no on the proposed resolution requesting King County Prosecutor pause implementation of the Restorative Community Pathways Program, RCP. Communities across King County participated in the past 2 to 3 years developing programs to address the disproportionate referrals of youth of color in the juvenile justice system, especially for offenses that were similar to their white counterparts. In addition, the community was educated on the detrimental impacts of incarceration on our youth, as well as the high financial cost of youth incarceration compared to other methods, including restorative programs. RCP was one of the programs recommended from the community among others. There are other solutions to juvenile crime. RCP is one of them, and is only a step in the right direction of ending the school to prison pipeline. City of Federal Way from 2016 to 2019 was in the top 4 referring jurisdictions to the juvenile justice system, with over half or more of those youth being Black and brown youth. We are the 6th largest city in the county, but have been among the top jurisdictions referring youth to the juvie system. Top jurisdictions typically are City of Seattle and unincorporated King County, which accounts for the largest of the population in the county. And the city disproportionately refers youth of color to juvie. The diversion program were created in the community to help address this disproportionality. If you stop them, then once our Black and brown youth will be incarcerated at greater rates than their white counterparts for similar crimes. What is the humanity and equity in that? What is the city doing about the disproportionate referral of Black and brown youth to the juvie system? I am disappointed that when the mayors of the South Sound got together, they decided that the simple solution to all of the crime is stop a program that has just begun to do the work. It's been 8 weeks. This program is not the problem. Push to pass the EP&O levy, which will add more counselors to our schools, more paras, more people to build relationships with the youth and engage them. Do not aim to lock them up and pretend it's a solution. It's not. In conclusion, please do not pass this resolution. Thank you, Tiffany LaFontaine, concerned community member. Next letter. This is from Roger Flygare. It reads, Federal Way Public Market. Thank you, Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Honda, Council President Kochmar, and council members. My name is Roger Flygare, and I'm the president of the Board of Federal Way Public Market, a group that has been working for more than a year to create a public market in our city. We're very excited to learn about the plan that you're considering tonight to finally create a downtown in Federal Way. We are particularly excited to see a multi-use market hall that has been included with the plan. We are hopeful that this reflects an understanding of the value and benefits of having a public market within the downtown business core. When our group started this journey, we believed that public markets were solely a place of commerce where goods were bought and sold. However, we've learned that they've become so much more. From studying other public markets, we believe a Federal Way public market would serve as the heart and soul, as was described to me by local residents last summer at the farmers market. In the town square as a central gathering place that our city has never had and solely needs. It would not help us to build our economy, but also bring our community together. We already have a great example of this, the farmers market. Our residents love having a place to meet with their neighbors, shop for local goods from local vendors, and enjoy various community events. But the farmers market is only open 6 months during the year, 1 day per week, and for limited hours. A public market would create a permanent home for the farmers market and provide a community gathering place year-round and 18 hours per day. As with the farmers market, it would be a place of gathering, commerce, education, and allow us to showcase and celebrate our best of our community has to offer. The board of the Federal Way Public Market stands ready to work with the city to create a downtown that is walkable, sustainable, vibrant, safe, and prosperous place, a must-see destination that attracts residents, tourists, and new employers, and allows us to generate the jobs and revenue that will allow us to compete with other cities into the future for the good of our residents. For council members and residents interested in our efforts, they can find the Federal Way Public Market online on Facebook and Nextdoor, social media apps, as well as the website, Federal Way Public Market, fedwaypm.org. Roger Flygare, President, Federal Way Public Market. And the last letter, Mayor, is from Casey Jones. It reads, as the council discusses whether or not to draft a resolution asking King County to take a good hard look at the Restorative Community Pathways Diversion Program, please remember that there are serious crimes listed in their diversion list. Robbery, assault, third degree, residential burglary are all felonies that could result in at least a 1-year sentence if found to have been committed by an adult. Also note that possessing a gun at school is on the list. With the level of youth violence our region is having, coupled with the number of weapons-related incidents at Federal Way Public Schools since school resumed this last September, it is completely inappropriate to offer diversion to a youth who's been armed with a gun or weapon at school. Youth who bring guns in our schools should not be in a feel-good program where there's no accountability. There's no accountability with these groups. Once the prosecutor's office refers a youth into the program, the groups do not report back whether or not the youth has completed what was required of them. That means the youth could choose diversion over prosecution, and then once in the program for 1 minute, the youth can withdraw. The community groups do not report the withdrawals back to the prosecutor's office. There are some crimes like theft and lesser misdemeanors, which diversion might make sense, but diversion does not make sense for violent or armed crimes, and it certainly does not make sense for youth who brings guns into our schools. With the emotion that these groups are showing towards this topic, I was confused 2 weeks ago when one of the speakers was talking about how bad youth incarceration is, but then told the council that while he was locked up, he was able to get an education that helped him get jobs and in turn pass on his knowledge to youth. That seems to me like a good case for showing the benefits of accountability. Mandatory counseling while incarcerated seems to have more promise than compared to voluntary mentoring while still at large in public. Again, please take a stance against the county's actions that limit options to hold youth accountable for such things as being armed with guns in our schools. We hope the county does not continue to impose their dangerous decisions that have impact on law-abiding families and youth. Thank you, Casey and Renice Jones, Fudger Way.
Okay, is that it?
Yep, that's the last letter.
Okay. All right, thank you, everybody, for your participation in public comment, the most important thing we do as a community. Okay, consent agenda. These items have gone through committee and can be passed all at once. I will read each of the items and ask if a council member wants an item pulled for separate consideration. 5A, minutes for the January 4th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. B, Arts Commission 2022 work plan. C, Arts Commission 2022 contract for services. D, jail services contract, Puyallup City Jail. E, Washington State Department of Commerce grant. F, Public Safety Testing Subscriber Agreement Amendment Number 1. G, Diversity Commission 2022 Work Plan. Council, are there any items you'd want pulled for separate consideration? Hearing none, Council President Kochmar, do you have a motion?
I move approval of items A through G on the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? All right, matter is, Councilmember Cepheus-Dawson, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, and I approve. And I vote yes.
Very good. Great to have you.
And Tran?
And Councilmember Tran voted yes. I heard him.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right, and, now, public hearing. Council Bill 812, amending Title 19 of the Federal Revised Code regarding public transportation facilities. This was postponed or put off from October 19th, 2021. There's a request to continue this item to February 15th, 2022. Any objection from council? Okay, so we'll just essentially cross that item off. No action taken. Item 7, council business. Council confirmation of committee chair appointments. Report from Council President Kochmar.
Thank you. Well, one of my first actions in conjunction with Deputy Mayor Honda, we discussed with all of our council members, and here is our committee assignments for 2022, the big rollout. Parks, Recreation, Human Services, Public Safety Committee is chair is Councilmember Jack Walsh. Members of the committee will be Erica Norton and Councilmember Lydia Cepheus-Dawson. Land Use Transportation Committee, chair will be Councilmember Jack Dovey. Members will be Councilmember Jack Walsh and Councilmember Hong Tran. Finance, Economic Development, Regional Affairs Committee, chair will be Councilmember Hong Tran. Members will be Councilmember Jack Dovey and Councilmember Erica Norton. Lodging Tax Advisory Committee will be, chair will be Councilmember Lydia Cepheus-Dawson.
All right. Deputy Mayor Honda, do you have a motion?
I move approval of the council committee appointments as presented.
I'll second that.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those.
Yes, Mayor,
have
can
a
I make a
question.
comment?
Okay, actually, Councilmember Cepheus-Dawson first, then Councilmember Norton. Councilmember Cepheus-Dawson?
Yeah, Council President Kochmar, I'm just surprised that I was not considered for the Parks, Recreation, Human Services, and Public Safety Committee Chair. Is as someone who's been on the council since 2014 and a lifelong human services career, it just surprises me that you had not considered me for that position, and that's my comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember. I appreciate that.
Councilmember Norton?
I just have a question because there's only one person on the committee that Councilman member Cepheus-Dawson is on. How does that work? if there's only one person on the committee.
So, this is the committee that the state of Washington requires us to have, and the other people that serve on the committee are involved in tourism here in Federal Way. So they're either hotel managers or they own a business that tourism would be involved in. And we are required to have a council member or a mayor as the chair of that committee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second, some discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passes unanimously. All right, item B, proposed 2022 to 2024 collective bargaining agreement with the Federal Way Police Guild. Staff report from Vanessa Audette, our HR manager. Vanessa.
In the back of the room.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Good evening, council. I'm here before you tonight asking the policy question. Should the council authorize the mayor to execute the 2022 to 2024 collective bargaining agreement with the Police Officers Guild? I have a brief presentation for you tonight. For a brief background, our current agreement expired December 31st of 2021. This proposed contract before you tonight is a 3-year contract, 2022 through 2024. And the contract presented to you tonight and provided in your council packet conforms with previously provided council authority and direction. Effectively, the contract has a clause for 4% COLA increases each of the 3 years of the contract. So as you can see, for 2022, the total increase to the guild contract is about $588,000, and I've got the current contract cost for the annual cost listed as well. For 2023, you'll notice that total increase slightly decreases, which seems counterintuitive, but that's because in the first year of the contract, we've added some new premium pays that we didn't have previously, so the first year of the contract will be the largest expense. To summarize some of the changes that are in this contract, we've got the addition of the Juneteenth holiday, which is a citywide holiday that we're recognizing. We are now allowing supplemental leave allowances when officers take paid family medical leave through the state of Washington. We have some new extra duty pay premiums, including a bilingual pay premium for multilingual officers who test at a proficiency level acceptable for the city. We've also included new premium pay for specialty instructors that we've had difficulty filling, for instance, defensive tactics or firearms training. And we've also added our hostage and crisis negotiation teams to the teams that are currently receiving extra duty pay premium. We've got some changes to our ancillary disability insurance as well, and we've got slight increases to our officers' career development program. Generally, that's a 1% increase for officers employed from 6 to 20 years of employment, and an addition of a 21-plus year category, which we did not previously have. The mayor's recommendation is to approve the 2022-2024 collective bargaining agreement with the Police Officers Guild. I'm proud to say that our guild did ratify the contract today in their vote, and we're looking for your support.
Thanks, Vanessa. Councilmember Dobie.
Yeah, Vanessa, can I go back to that very first slide where it's the 4%, 4%? And my, they're done,
Oh,
Councilor,
sure.
thank you. My question is, I understand the 4% and you explained the, what, one-time payments to get to the 588. I think it would be wise to maybe clarify that so some council 10 years from now looks at it and says, well, that's not really 4%. Why? What was the differential? It just, because you look at it mathematically, the 4% don't add up when you have 588 and then 453 and then 461. So there might be another line in there that says what that budget actually is made up of.
Understood.
Okay. Council President Kochmar.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to assume that that will be done as suggested. Thank you. A good suggestion, Councilmember Dovey. So I move approval. I'm very happy that we've settled the contract, and I move approval of the proposed 2022-2024 collective bargaining agreement with the Police Officers Guild and authorize the mayor to execute said agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to say that our officers are working under very difficult conditions right now. I'm very appreciative of the officers that are working in the retail stores right now. I'm hearing really good things from the community about having our officers working on their own time in the retail area, and so I'm very appreciative of that. And so thank you to all of them.
All right. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? All right, matter passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, item C, South County Area, oh, great job, Vanessa, thank you. South County Area Transportation Board Agreement, staff report by E.J. Walsh, our Public Works Director. And E.J., thank you for coming in here and speaking to Betty earlier, I saw that, thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Tonight, I am before you with a little bit of different flavor than what we're usually here for. So we've been a member of Skateboard pretty much since the city's inception. And what that is the South County Area Transportation Board. So that is the advisory group to PSRC for South King County. It's a sub-regional forum to share information and develop recommendations for grant funding. And like I said, there's a council member that's been representative on it for a number of years. Historically, this has been an administrative contract that we have executed, something that the city is a willing participant. This year, the skateboard staff did ask that we bring this to council and formally receive an approval to enter this contract, which is why we've never done this as a city before, but we're here tonight. So with that, the mayor's recommendation is to enter the agreement and continue our membership as a partner in the South County Area Transportation Board, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, Councilmember Dovey?
I move that we enter into the agreement with the South County Area Transportation Board.
I'll second that, but I'd also like to explain why it's here. So apparently every 10 years, the contract has to be brought back to the cities, and so that's why it's been brought back.
Okay, there's been a motion. Is there any further? Thank you very much for the clarification. Any other comments by council? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. And then item 8, ordinances, first reading, or Council Bill 812, amending Title 19 of the Federal Revised Code regarding public transportation facilities. This is postponed from October 19th of 2021. It says no further action is needed. Is that correct?
This is a corollary to the item that was continued earlier.
Okay. All right. So 8A is no action taken. Second reading and enactment on item B, Council Bill 819, modifying the city's nuisance code. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title into the record?
Council Bill 819, modifying the city's nuisance code, an ordinance of the city of Federal Way, Washington, modifying the city's nuisance code to address chronic nuisance properties and providing for emergency summary abatement for severe and emergency nuisances in the city, amending Federal Way Revised Code 670010, adding new sections to Chapter 6.70, including sections 670020, 670030, and 67040, and adding a new section to Chapter 1.15, including Section 115085.
All right. Councilmember Dovey, do you have a motion?
Yes, I move adoption of the proposed ordinance.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. Now, as to item C, Council Bill 820, proposed code 12.35, Federal Way Revised Code for licensing permanent supportive housing and transitional housing and emergency housing and shelter. Councilmember Dovey, did you have a motion?
Yeah, I have a motion to move this ahead, move it forward, but I also have a comment that I would like to have the council consider. I think that, we have a fee of $300 on this for, call it for-profit, but no fee for nonprofit. And it's still going to take the same administrative fee for a for-profit and a nonprofit. And I'd like to see that maybe we make it the same. And so, if somebody comes forward and wants to take advantage of this, that the fees be the same for a profit and a nonprofit.
Brian?
Okay. Is that council, proposal by council, or we
Well,
need to take a vote, I guess?
Okay, so is that possible to change it? We're here for second reading. And actually, why don't we do this?
Actually, Mayor, the item is on for second reading, so I don't know what Councilmember Dovey's intention is. If the motion tonight is to pass it, it passes. We could come back with an amendment, and council could then take subsequent action, if that's the intent. If it was to not pass it, then we would not take action tonight.
So I would move adoption, and then we can come back and talk about the fee. Is that what I'm hearing?
And before we do that, we should probably read the title.
Yes. Okay, would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 820, Proposed Code 12.35 Federal Revised Code for licensing permanent supportive housing and transitional housing and emergency housing and shelter. An ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to licensing of permanent supportive housing and transitional housing and emergency housing and shelter, amending Federal Way Revised Code 19-195-015, 19-200-045, 19-205-080, 19-215-070, 19-220-100, 19-220-105, 19-225-055, 19-225-075, 19-230-055, 19-230-065, 19-240-085, and 19-240-095, and adding a new chapter 12.35, including sections 12.35-010, 12.35-020, 12.35-030, 12.35-040, 12.35-050, 12.35-060, 12.35-070, and 12.35-080.
Councilmember Dovey, your motion.
Yeah, I would move the adoption of the ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. With regard to, and then how best to accomplish your desired amendment, to come back at a later time?
We could come back at a later time if that's,
We would just handle that through the normal course of agenda setting, Mayor, and by your instruction, so.
Very good. Okay. Well, let's do that. Well, Stephanie, let's make sure that we get this back on. But we can act on this now, but then we get it noted on agenda setting with the council president and the deputy mayor in that process. Okay. All right, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Council President?
Sure. So licensing would be for this supportive housing and transitional housing. Does that also includes the shelter housing, the motels?
Right.
For licensing?
I missed the question.
And we've got,
So-
actually, we've got Brian Davis in here. Well, that's it.
When we're talking about licensing, this is about supportive housing, transitional housing. Does that include the motels?
Yes.
So when we talk about licensing, we're also going to include the motels. Thank you.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Okay, and we'll address this at our next, opportunity. There's been a motion, a second. Councilmember Dovey, any other, or are you just getting ready to vote?
No, I'm ready to vote.
I have a comment.
Councilmember Walsh.
Hey, previously on this, it was supposed to be added that that the housing that's not that prohibits possession of illegal drugs, and that was supposed to have been added, and it was not added into the into it.
Right.
It has a sale and the use of illegal drugs, and it was supposed to be an added possession of illegal drugs, and that was not added.
I'm sorry, I'll have to check the item that's in the packet. and that might take me a second.
Undetermined. Yes.
One place that you can find that, it's repeated several times through it with the different zonings. But for example, page 9 of 96,
I'm actually just pulling it
item
up.
Roman numeral 4, and there's C4.
So Mayor, that change was supposed to have been made, and I'm not, he's correct, I'm not seeing that. So maybe we should break and let me fix that.
I'm sorry?
I'm not, he's right, I'm not seeing the change. I instructed that it be changed, and I've seen a changed version of this ordinance. It's just, it's not in the packet, so.
Should we push this at the next meeting to get that done?
Or take a break and I can get you the proper one.
How long would it take?
I think it's drafted. I just need to go find it.
Okay, let's take, with the leave of council, can we take a 10-minute break?
Or
Council President Honda?
we could do our council, that's okay, she's there.
Council President Kochmar?
We're red tonight. Maybe we could do our council reports while he looks for it.
That's a great idea. What
Good,
about
let's
that, you
go
guys?
home.
Yeah, great idea. Okay, are you okay if, are you?
Yeah, I can go do it.
Okay, let's do that. We're gonna start, thank you very much, great idea. We'll do council reports while we're waiting on that bill, and thank you, that's a great catch, Councilmember Walsh, thank you for reading the fine detail. We'll start at this end of the dais with Councilmember Dovey.
I have nothing to report other than it's a great meeting, and thank you for everybody's support.
Very good, okay, thank you. Councilmember Walsh.
I agree with Councilmember Dovey. It's 8:43. We only have a little bit more to do, so we'll be able to adjourn a little earlier this meeting to help make up for our previous meeting. So I have no more comments. I don't think anybody out there objects to that either. So.
Very good. Councilmember Tran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a quick few things. First of all, I would like to thank Council President Kochmar and Deputy Mayor Honda for reappointing me to the FedRAC committee. Thank you for your confidence. I am really looking forward in working with the two new council members, Councilmembers Dovey and Councilmember Norton, on this council. It is a really fun committee. Just so you know, we do serious business, but we do have fun at the same time. So just give you a heads up on that. I also want to thank staff in the finance department and actually all staff for working with us on this committee. So I am really looking forward to working with you guys again. Also, the FedRAC meeting, it is going to be on January 25th. I'm go back in time here. January 25th, 22 at 5 p.m. I am going to ask IT to set up this meeting by Zoom because I am going to be out of the country. So I will try to facilitate this meeting from a remote location. With that, I am going to end my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Councilmember Norton.
Thank you. I just want to say that I really appreciate Deputy Mayor Honda and Councilmember Tran for attending that meeting, as well as Senator Claire Wilson, Representative Jesse Johnson, Representative Jamila Taylor, the people from the RCP programs, the community leadership that showed up, and having a very difficult conversation on Saturday. I'm hoping that everyone who attended is willing to come back and have another conversation at a future date. I think it's needed, and our community must come together, because if we don't stand together, we're going to die alone. There's a lot of issues going on with our youth, and you know, it wasn't something that I ran on or really was much aware of, but I appreciate everyone bringing things to my attention. One thing that, oh, and Lieutenant Hodge, that's another person that I appreciate showing up. And I'll just say, that was a very emotional meeting, and everyone who came and shared your feelings and your information. I think we're focusing on the wrong things here. We need to be focusing on King County and the prosecuting attorney's office, not the service providers, because they're just doing their jobs.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear.
So, Lydia.
Oh, yes. Councilmember Sepa Dawson.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, everyone. I'm sorry I got a late start, but I'm also happy that my network did not cut me out. So I'm glad that I was able to participate to this point. And right now it's 7:47 a.m. my time, so you know I got up really early. And I look forward to meeting with you in person at the next one. And Councilmember Norton, I'm sorry I wasn't able to attend or help be able to help you on this process with the meeting on Saturday, but I look forward to checking in with you and seeing how we can move forward with these community engagements. So with that, I end my report. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. I mean, good night. Good night to you all.
And thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. I know you're on a different continent, and we certainly appreciate your dedication, and you started at very early morning hours, so thank you. All right, Deputy Mayor Honda.
Thank you. This morning I attended the information Zoom meeting that SCA holds twice a month with the interim director of King County Public Health, King County Seattle Public Health, Dennis Worsham, and it's on COVID. Councilmember Welch was also on that call, and he had great news. In King County, the numbers this morning indicated that we are starting a downward trend on the amount of people who are being diagnosed with COVID. He did remind us all that the hospitalizations are about a week to 2 weeks behind, so they're still going to be increasing, but he said that what he saw today is what he expected to see, because that's what New York did and some other states that are ahead of us. So that's good news, although we still have a lot of people getting infected and getting sick, but it's still good news. So keep doing what you're all doing, and hopefully we'll get better sooner than later. The federal government is offering every household 4 free COVID tests, and they were going to start signing up on Wednesday, but you can sign up now. And it's covidtests.gov. You put your address in, it takes just like a minute, and they say they'll send them out by next week. So you can do that starting now. There's also, AWC sent out a newsletter yesterday, and there are 3 bills that I would like to call our attention to. One is House Bill 1845, and it is a grant program to assist cities to buy, train, and hire additional personnel to work with body-worn cameras. I'm hoping that if that goes through, that it's retroactive, so all of those cities that went ahead and already bought the body-worn cameras and hired the additional staff will get refunded or reimbursed for that money. The next is Senate Bill 5687, which is speed limits of 20 miles per hour in school walk areas on non-arterial highways. And I'm not really sure what a non-arterial highway is, but it sounds like it's a good thing. I would really love to see the speed limit in front of Federal Way High School reduced when kids are going to school and leaving school. And we haven't been able to do that yet, but I would like to see that. And then the third is House Bill 1727. And this would move dates of city elections from odd years to even numbered years, starting in 2026. So all elections, city, state, federal, would all be at the same time. I don't think that's a good idea, but that is having a hearing tomorrow at 8 a.m. So I am concerned about that. But I'm also hoping that if House Bill 1845 continues on forward, that we are reimbursed for the money that we put into body-worn cameras, and every other city has already done that.
That'd be great.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Council President Kochmar.
Thank you very much. So a number of things. In relation to what Deputy Mayor is talking about with the bills in the House and the Senate right now, there have been an enormous amount of pre-bills filed, pre-filings, which is totally unusual. They may be trying to pick up from what happened last year or trying to get as much done this year, but it's only a 60-day session, so I highly doubt that they're going to get much done, but I do hope that there are some changes made to 1310, House Bill 1310, those that deal, and 15, forgot the other, that deal with pursuit, and I know that you testified about that today, and deal with how our police respond to criminal action. So I'm hoping that we can get some remedial fixes in. I want to say thank you very much to Councilmember Lydia Seva-Dawson. She made a very good point tonight, which is I need to network with her more. I want to thank her very much for all of her hard work on behalf of this community for the last 8 years, and so thank you very much. And so, Lydia, we're going to talk a little bit more. So thank you.
I'd appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, but maybe not in Ethiopia. I am anxious to hear about how that went. So.
No, yeah.
I know.
When I return, I'll reach out to
joking.
you.
I'm joking.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
All right. And then I want to say thank you to the people who put on our MLK events yesterday. And Deputy Mayor Honda and I and Mayor went to the event put on by the 30th District Democrats at the mall last night. And a very, very wonderful event. Thank you very much. And then I want to do say that Deputy Mayor and I will be going to Washington, D.C. to lobby on your behalf during the National League of Cities Conference. And that's when I just want to remind you that that's when I want to go and talk to Senators Murray and Cantwell about getting funding for our turf fields at Celebration Park.
Councilmember Seva-Dawson is attending too.
And Councilmember, I'm sorry.
I'm also going to be going.
I know,
Yes.
thank you. I left that off. Thank you, I know that all three of us are going. And then we're going to be talking about lobbying on behalf of the city, but I need to make sure that our lobbyist is aware so that he can set up I think Tim Johnson was going to do that.
Okay.
Set up our meetings with the senators. And then I want to make sure that you all realize that there are a lot of members of our community that are Pacific Islanders. And with the Tonga, with the volcano erupting in Tonga affecting the islands there, maybe you could reach out if you know of any Pacific Islanders in your friends in your community. Let them know how you feel. Just reach out to them. They just want to know that people, because they're very concerned. And then finally, I just want to remind the mayor that I'm hoping that he'll look into retention. Our police officers are under a lot of pressure right now, a lot of stress. We have officers that we've had here for a long time that may be getting to ready to retire. I hope that they'll stay a little longer. But I want to discuss in a future meeting about retention bonuses and education reimbursement for them. So perhaps that's something the mayor could carry forward. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, now we're back to item C, 8C, Council Bill 820. Ryan?
So Mayor, it's a 100-page document, and it's actually in there. I just didn't find it immediately. So when I went back and double-checked, there were two versions, the right version's in the packet. So the restriction was added to the charts. So it's one of the, occupancy policies. So the first instance, if you look on page 9, under the SE zone, it has it there. Occupancy policies consistent with RCW 59.18, including resident responsibilities and code of conduct that includes, at a minimum, a prohibition on threatening and unsafe behavior and the on-site use and sale of illegal drugs. So,
But it should be possession of illegal drugs was what was supposed to have been added in there. It was discussed before.
oh, I don't think that was understood by,
Because our last meeting,
Okay.
that was specifically discussed,
okay.
that it was supposed to be possession of illegal drugs was supposed to be added to the online use and sale,
So
or the on-site use and sale.
if we want to make a motion to amend it, we can do that, or we can bring it back next week at your
We could,
option.
well, the motion to amend would cure it, right?
It would.
And then we could just pass it as, that you would
It would pass as amended. and
pass
that'd
as
be the end
amended.
of it.
Do you have a motion with regard to?
I have a motion that we be added so that it specifically prohibits the online, or the online, it specifically prohibits the on-site possession of illegal drugs.
And I'll second that amendment.
Okay, and this is, so there's been a motion to amend, there's been a second. Is there any discussion? All right.
Good catch, Jack.
Yeah. All right, all those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? The amendment passes. Now on to the main motion. All those in favor of final passage of 820?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. We've already done our council reports. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Safe travels, council members, Dawson.
Thank you. See you in a week.
All right, good night, everybody.
Have a good day. Bye.